What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a new update that went live in Fortnite today that buffed a lot of the weapons in Chapter 3. They buffed both of the shotguns and the Ranger AR. They nerfed the MK7 slightly, and they buffed the Guzzle Juice. So this is a pretty significant change, especially because a lot of players have been really unhappy with the shotguns in Chapter 3. If you guys do enjoy this video, please do remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and check the description down below because I do have a second channel where I post Fortnite videos, and if you want to catch all of my Fortnite-related content, all of the news, all the tips, all the tricks, whatever, make sure you subscribe to that channel as well because I post Fortnite videos on there very regularly as well. Thanks for watching. So in today's update, Epic made some really needed changes to the meta in Fortnite. So I'm going to go over them really quickly, and I'm also going to have them on screen as I'm reading them here. They increase the accuracy of the striker pump shotgun. So this is going to tighten the spread of your pellets and make it to where you're more likely to land more pellets on target, resulting in more damage. I didn't think that these pump changes would actually make that much of a difference just upon reading the patch notes. I was like, dang, no damage buff. The shotguns are still like not going to be that good. But this accuracy change, for whatever reason, did make the striker pump feel a lot more consistent to me. I don't know if it's just placebo or whatever. I was hitting a lot better shotgun shots. I still wasn't hitting like good damage with the old pump, but as far as the striker pump goes, I was happy with the damage I was getting, and the game was so much more fun to play after this update. They slightly increased the fire rate of the striker pump shotgun. I think this is still a little bit too slow, but it's like a step in the right direction. I feel like if you were to shoot somebody, or if you were to edit a wall, shoot somebody, reset the edit, and then edit it again and try to shoot them, the striker pump still isn't able to shoot like right away in that time, like how the pump would. And that isn't ideal, but like I said, it's a step in the right direction. I think they still need to make it a little bit faster. For the auto shotgun, they decrease the amount of time it takes to pull out. This does sound pretty minuscule, but if you think about how you use shotguns in Fortnite, a lot of the time you're going to be editing, and this makes it a lot more just consistent and seamless to make edit plays with the auto shotgun. It still does feel like kind of clunky and slow and not as ideal, but it's a lot more manageable than how it was before. So those are the shotgun changes they made. All of them are good. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not perfect. I still think the shotguns need a little bit of a buff, and they need to be made a little bit better, and I will get to the reason why later on in this video, but a step in the right direction for sure. I found the game to be a lot more fun to play after this update than before the update. I've had the most fun I've probably had in Chapter 3 playing since this update came out. The second part of this update decreased the environmental damage of the MK7 assault rifle and made it slightly less accurate while hip firing. I didn't really notice this. When I was trying to spray people through builds, I was still getting shots in. I never really hip fired the MK7, so that aspect of the nerf didn't really matter to me. But I was still just frying players' builds, no problem. So I don't think they changed it very much. The next change was to the Ranger assault rifle. They slightly increased the damage rate and moderately increased the accuracy. So they made it to where you're going to hit shots more consistent, and they made it shoot faster, I think. I'm not sure why they called it damage rate. Like, I assume that's fire rate. It doesn't say they flat out increased damage. They increased the damage rate. So I guess they increased the fire rate. It's okay. It feels fine, but I don't really care for the Ranger AR too much. I think it's a really good AR, but the MK7 is just way too good to pass up. I think the balance between these ARs is really weird because I think if the MK7 didn't exist, the Ranger would probably be one of the best assault rifles we've had in the game, period. It's like a heavy AR that shoots faster and has way less bloom. The heavy AR was already a really good gun, but it had such high bloom that made it like really inconsistent to use and made it a weapon that a lot of Fortnite players didn't want to use. But with the Ranger, you have the damage, you have a higher fire rate, and you have even less bloom. It's like set to be one of the best ARs in the game, but the MK7 is just so good and so easy to use and so consistent that I really do not see people taking the Ranger until they nerf the MK7. I think the MK7 is just way too overpowered. And then they increased the heal speed of the Guzzle Juice. This is fine. The Guzzle Juice is a good item. If you guys don't know what the Guzzle Juice does, it heals you until you get to max HP or you take damage. It heals your white from, you could go from one green health to 100 if you don't take damage in that time. And they made it heal faster, which is a good change, I guess. But I already thought it was a good item. Now it got even better. It wasn't really the biggest deal in this update. It was mainly about the shotgun changes and some of the AR changes. And so that's it. What's in today's update. Now I'm going to talk about what I want to see them change next, because right now the Fortnite meta is not good in my opinion. I know it's different and a lot of people like it because it's different, but shotguns being really bad and the MK7 being really good and really consistent, I feel like has kind of shifted Fortnite away from like a close range meta game to a mid to long range meta game. Close range, you could still use SMGs, but I feel like mid to long range got way better in Chapter 3. And the problem for that is that it just really kind of invalidates building and editing. If you could just sit long range and spray at people all day and just repetitively get shots in through their builds and repetitively get damage in on them because there's no bloom, the game isn't going to be what it was in the past. And for some people that might be good, but if you're someone who's enjoyed Fortnite gameplay and wants to continue to play Fortnite, the game that we have in Chapter 3 is very different from Fortnite. It makes positioning matter way more. I think it makes the game way campier. And I've played Warzone for a year and a half. Like, I stopped playing Fortnite in Chapter 2 Season 3 and then recently came back at the end of Chapter 2 because I just wasn't a fan of Chapter 2 and I wanted to give the game another chance. And Warzone kind of got boring to me just because of how skillless it was to just AR people from medium to long range. Like, I would get a lot of kills that I didn't really feel satisfied with at all. And I would get a lot of deaths that just felt like it wasn't even my fault. It felt like a lot of times the way to avoid deaths in that game was just to do nothing and not make a play and not expose yourself. And I feel like that's the route Fortnite is going with the MK7. It's not as extreme as it was in Warzone, but it's the same type of thing. People can camp way more in Chapter 3 and get kills just by camping way more than they could in the past. It makes third partying way more effective because with Bloom, you couldn't just AR at someone's builds, or you couldn't AR at someone in a fight and just hit all of your shots on them. But with the MK7, if your aim is halfway decent, you're going to hit a majority of those shots. So I think the MK7 needs a really significant nerf. One of the ways that they could do this is recoil. One of the ways they could do this is by reducing the limb damage on the weapon and making it to where you have to hit body shots and headshots to get good damage. This is how guns were in COD. They could make it projectile instead of hit scan, so the bullets would have a lead time. I think a lot of Fortnite players don't really understand that because the only weapons we've really had in the game that were projectile were snipers and like RPGs, and both were really slow. But you can have a gun be projectile with a really high bullet velocity, and it would make it consistent in like medium range, but it would make the weapon a little bit harder to use at longer ranges, especially if the opponent is like in a vehicle or moving really fast or something. It would make it harder to beam people out of the sky if you had to lead your shots a little bit. And it's not like you would have to lead an absurd amount, but yeah, the MK7 is just so easy. Every gun in Warzone is projectile. So every gun in that game has like bullet travel time, and every gun has way more recoil than the MK7 pretty much. Even the lowest recoil weapons in Warzone have more recoil than the MK7. So I think this gun definitely needs to be looked at. I know I'm comparing it a lot to Call of Duty, but I think a lot of Fortnite players don't have as much experience with normal FPS games. So I'm just kind of trying to describe how normal FPS games balance weapons. And this weapon is just completely out of line, I think. And it just completely shifts the game into being a more mid-range campy game. And I don't think that should be the case. Bloom was always annoying, but Bloom made it to where you couldn't reliably just mid-range AR people and get kills, and that you would mainly use your AR for tags and then get in close and finish the fight with a shotgun, and this would make building and editing matter. It made the most important aspects of the game building, editing, and shotgun fights, and the MK7 is just kind of a workaround around that, and it just makes it to where spraying people with an AR is kind of the most effective way to play the game, and I don't think that's very good for Fortnite in the long run. I think that gets rid of a lot of the skill gap in Fortnite, and it just makes it a completely different game. So I want to see the MK7 get nerfed quite significantly. I think the shotguns could still use a little bit of a buff, but a lot of what makes the game how it is right now is the power of the MK7 more so than the weakness of the shotguns. The shotguns are like kind of okay-ish now. They're still not great. Maybe like a 10% damage buff, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure the exact numbers on them, but even if they buff the shotguns, the MK7 is way too good. So personally, I want the game to go back to feeling like Fortnite. I'm open to having the MK7 in the game, but I don't think it should just completely be the weapon that everyone plays around, because whenever Fortnite has had a spray meta, it just really isn't that fun to play. So let me know what you guys want to see changed in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking of Chapter 3. So far, I really like the map, but I think the meta is really bad, and they need to do some things to address that. Luckily, today's update was a step in the right direction, and I think the game did get a lot better from these minor changes. If they increased the damage with the shotguns a little bit and made it to where the striker shot even a little bit faster, that way you could edit a wall, shoot, reset the edit, and then shoot again right away when you made that second edit, I think the game would be really good. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of this update, and I will see you guys another time. Thanks for watching.